Good morning. How are you today? I hope you are very well. I am brilliant. This is our last Monday transmission. In fact, all things being equal, we go on break at the end of this week. So, which that means then is that once we go on break, we are back in January. We usually do this every end of the year. We'll take a break, usually about 4 weeks at the end of the year, and then we're back in January. So as a team, we just decide whether we want to come in January or toward the end of January, beginning of February. We usually discuss that and agree. But we do take a much needed break. We've been running with these things for 4 years, as you can see up there. 4 good years over here. That's our 4 years. And so we've been doing this and been very, very satisfied with it. I am extremely pleased with what we've been able to do in all this period. And to be honest, I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve in such a manner. This has also led to very profound cohorts. I did my first cohort. I'm very excited. I completed that last month. And now we are on to the second cohort. I'm very excited with the caliber of people that are also coming onto the cohort. I have a lot of business people, I have a lot of leaders, and then I also have those I've been working with privately. I have two CEOs right now who I am taking through what we call neuropsychology and neuro leadership therapy. And it's very exciting to coach people at that level and then hear the kind of feedback. That's why I know that it's literally just a matter of time before many more get to know what I do and then really leverage that level of influence for the sake of transforming the lives of many. So that's something I'm excited about. But today's Monday, and as usual, on every Monday, we're here to take you through another coaching. Now, before I do that, let me also take this opportunity to say that I have a mentorship program I'm running right now. So those of you that are keen and interested, I am going to post the link a little later on today, back after this presentation. So if you're going to watch this as a recording, you'll see it's already there. But if you're watching this live, hang on until the end. We've already done, we launched on Saturday. We had our first inaugural session for cohort number 2, and we will be having them after that on Friday. So every Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. We'll be having those. That's Central African time, of course. Now, I must also say that we run these every single day. Monday, I do this with Unleashing Your Destiny. Tuesday, we have Dr. Sunshine Sylvia, who comes through with Mindset Change program. Wednesdays are open market, and I think this Wednesday it's her, so she'll be doing her open market, the last of the year. Then Thursday we have from Prosperity for Your Soul with Dr. Nelly Kangwa, and then on Friday we should be having a summary of what we've achieved over the year. We'll be discussing, myself and Dr. Sunshine Sylvia. I am hoping that we have Dr. Nelly on the call as well, just to kind of discuss and give our take on what were the biggest highlights as we wrap up. So that'll be our wrap up. Next year we're back on a date we'll announce. Very excited to see what we could possibly achieve then. I am looking forward to 2025. There's a lot that we've been able to do in 2024. It's been a lethal year when it comes to the energy crisis. So even now I'm using alternative power to keep us transmitted. But whatever the case, here we are. And so today I am jumping straight into a topic which I love so much. I've shared this on 1 or 2 occasions here. And this one, for the sake of those who may be part of us, may not be part of us. I mean, whatever the case, if you are already in the cohort, brilliant. If you're not, you should consider it. I'm looking at the topic of 3 mind viruses. Okay, so one of my favorite fairy tales has got to be Pinocchio. I am most certain you all know the story, right? It's about a woodcarver named Geppetto who once created a puppet named Pinocchio and tried his best to take care of this puppet, but the puppet always seemed to get into wrong company and end up doing wrong things, which in turn had consequences that drove him further and further into trouble. Now, the highlight and thus thread of the whole story lies in one key event. Pinocchio wanted to become a real boy, but the blue fairy told him that this would happen when he learned to be a good boy and did all the things he was supposed to do. Now, one would only imagine this to be a simple task, right? Wrong. With our little hero, he just seemed to get to have the knack of getting into wrong company, wrong deeds, and always led him to circumstances and repercussions followed all the advice he would be given on a regular basis. It kind of makes you wonder why he would keep doing wrong things from the truth and the goodness of life that he really wanted, that is to become a real boy. In spite of the times he would try, it's almost as if something would come and take over his better sense of judgment, and before he knew it, there he would be getting into trouble again. I mean, he got into some serious trouble. So what's the moral of the story with Pinocchio? He would have been turned into a real boy much earlier. Only, and this is the clincher, if only he had obeyed his maker and followed the good advice given to him by the blue fairy. You have to read the book to learn what he did and how he overcame this vice. Now, which brings me to people and viruses. Now, did you know, and that's the title, so 3 mind viruses during your life right now. So did you know that most people suffer from the same things that Pinocchio did? Most of us know perfectly well what to do, but do not do it. Instead, we keep doing and going down the wrong path, and the scary part is that we see it and recognize that we are on the wrong course, but just keep plummeting down the spiral that leads to poverty and regret. And listen, poverty is lack. That's it, lack. Doesn't mean, you know, I know there's that picture of people living in the rural areas in tattered clothes and scrounging around for survival. That's not the poverty I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the lack. Lack of the desires that we want. Okay, that's it. And regret. And these come because of the consistent bad choices. So why do we do so? Why do we keep having these bad choices? I believe it is because many people, the majority come to think of it, are infected with the 3 viruses, which I will mention, that are messing up their hardwiring and internal programming, neuropsychologically speaking. And these viruses have taken over and caused the perpetuation of their agenda. What are these viruses? So in order to properly break down my points, we need to understand the characteristics of a virus first. So I'm not speaking of a medical virus, but a computer virus. So note the difference. Remember, if our mind is the software, if our brain is the hardware, then our mind is the software. So the brain and the mind are interestingly intertwined. So the virus affects the mind. The virus affects the operating system, doesn't affect the hardware on the computer. That never gets affected. It's always the operating system. Okay, so any virus will buy. Okay, so a computer virus is a computer program that can replicate itself and spread from one computer to another. Any virus will, by definition, make unauthorized changes to a computer, which is undesirable, even if no damage is done or intended. I believe many people are also infected with this kind of virus, the kind that messes up with one's mental and spiritual programming so that they lose focus and get to perpetuate misery and failure. The saddest part is that they don't even realize they're infected. So one of the interesting things about this infection is that it is at a mental level. And a lot of people like to, especially those from my background and persuasion, we like to blame the devil. We like to blame some uncle in the village, you know, some people wanting to destroy your life and the agents of the enemy, you know. Today I'm going to show you that those are like 0.1%. Most of the distractions coming from yours truly, yourself. So let's look at the 4 characteristics of a viral infection. So number 1, replication of the virus. So bad ideas and concepts can begin to replicate in the mind of individuals and feed off the environment through negative programming. I call it culture. Okay, I have mentioned on many occasions that thoughts are things, and if they are given room, they will always grow. Whatever you focus on expands. It is in this way that memes are received and processed within one's mind. So your major virus source is your environment. You are replicating what you see in the environment. Number 2, Viruses spread from one computer to another. So these bad ideas and concepts are spread from one mind to another through the medium of sound and vision. Okay? In short, it is through what you see and hear. Whatever we allow into our minds will deposit seeds. Those seeds will grow with time, and if they are nurtured, that is tended by watering and tilling through remaining exposed to the source or items related to the source. Okay? That's what company does. If we keep exposing ourselves to these sources, it's just a matter of time before we're fully infected and an extension of that source, ready to infect other minds we come into contact with through sight and sound. This is why I always say, if you're a married man or woman and you hang around divorcees or you hang around men that sleep around, I don't have to be a prophet to tell you that within 5 years, you will be exactly where they are. Why? Because that exposure will mess you up. That's why the Bible says, do not be mocked. God cannot be mocked. Do not be deceived. God will not be mocked. Bad company corrupts good morals. So you want to live a life free of viruses? Stay away from the bad company. Simple. Number 3. And by the way, before I move on, that's the reason parents many times will warn it. They will say, don't hang around those children. Don't hang around those friends. And sometimes even as an adult, somebody will tell you, that's not the best company you need. Sometimes, unfortunately, we don't listen to our wives, but our wives will say, that's not a very good friend. But you know, women are perceptive and gullible at the same time. I don't know how that works, but hey, women are very perceptive. 9 out of 10 times, if a woman tells you, beware of that friend. If it's a good woman, take heed. Because 9 out of 10 times their intuition is correct. And unfortunately, sometimes, I don't know, we just don't want to make any movement. Number 3, unauthorized changes to the internal programming. Negative programming will inevitably lead to negative thinking, which manifests as negative speaking and feelings. And recall we said what you focus on expands, right? Well, with enough seed, your thinking will change. That in turn will affect your feelings, which inevitably will begin to manifest in your feelings and speech. Okay? At this stage, in fact, it will manifest in your speech and actions. That's what I should say. At this stage, you are ripe and ready to become a vector of the virus. A vector means a carrier, spreading them to the next unsuspecting victim. That's why, hear me well, guard your heart. That's what the Bible says. Guard your heart, for out of it flows rivers of living water. This heart, what you allow the heart to be infected by, your heart, by the way, is your subconscious mind. The Bible uses the term heart, but we know as neuropsychologists that the heart relates to the subconscious mind, which is your emotions. You know, in the locus of control, we teach something called the locus of control. People that are most empowered are individuals that have an internal locus of control, who've learned to understand that everything that they need to change their lives is within, not without. So if you allow things from without to come in, then the stuff within will change. And so then goes the saying, the law of correspondence, as it is on the inside, so it is on the outside. So whatever you see around you on the outside is what is on the inside. The outside is a manifestation of the inside. So guard that. But unfortunately, hanging around all the wrong people, keeping the wrong company, and then getting shocked when stuff goes south. That's because you've been infected with a virus, my friend. Number 4, undesirable results. In the long run, the earlier mentioned lead to negative actions which bring about negative results. And thoughts, as you know this saying very well, thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, peppered with your words, and actions lead to results. The real question is, what kind of results? Our beliefs are the most powerful factor behind our results because they inevitably affect every arena of our lives. As we say in in NLP, beliefs are unwritten commands. If I were to go further, we call beliefs what? The framework under which all that you see above operates. The beliefs are the foundation. They sit in the frame, and that frame pretty much drives your whole entire life where it's supposed to be, or where it's not supposed to be going, because it is controlled by that. That's why people say, oh, I don't know what came on me. I don't know. I'm trying. I don't know why things just keep going wrong. Yeah, because your foundations are messed up. That's why. Your belief system is totally screwed up. And so you want to change this, you got to go down to that mind virus and deal with it. Okay, so it does not matter what you may like to see. If your beliefs are infected with negative viruses, they will still mess with your final results regardless. So unfortunately, most people are unaware that they have been programmed for failure because they are infested with viruses. Now I need to pause there and just allow you to kind of take that in now. These viruses are messing their internal programming by locking down and erasing the good programs and replacing them with the malware obtained through the medium of sound and vision. What you see, what you hear. What you see, what you hear. So my question to you is, what are you exposing yourself to? Who are you hanging around? Do a post-mortem of your five closest people. Who are they? Where are they in life? The three major viruses, let's get to the viruses. So the three major viruses are, these ones are, one, the blame virus, two, the eat now, pay later virus, and the hope to get lucky virus. And these viruses, by the way, I learned from a great leader called Rev Walter almost 14 years ago, if not 15, in fact, 16 years ago. That's when I learned about this, and they really made an impact in my life. I've taught about them left, right, and center. And so let me now go into teaching what those three viruses do. Now, obviously, you understand there are many more viruses beyond these three, but I love these three because these three, in a massive way, exemplify what's wrong with so many people. So ask yourself this question. Have you ever wondered why so many people, in spite of knowing what they want and what to do to get that, just do not manage? Why is it that so many people become monumental failures in life? I guess one has to first define what failure is, in that, as it is a very relative term. So however, one could correctly deduce their state by using an assessment based on the 8 key arenas of life. I teach that. The arenas are spiritual, family, health, mental, social, career, financial, and recreation. Whatever the case, the majority feel like they have been shortchanged. Do you feel shortchanged yourself? As you're watching this video, whether live or as a recording, do you feel shortchanged? Do you feel the same? Could your life be at a better place than where it is now? Have you changed anything about your life? Or are you still in the same boat? Have you achieved your dreams? Are you living your dream? I believe that you can live your best life now if you learn to deal with the viruses. Okay, yes, we have some mental viruses that are messing up with our internal programming, like I say, and they are wreaking havoc within. Unless we can get an antivirus of some sort and get rid of them, then we will end up disillusioned and disappointed. So let's dig into those viruses. Let's begin with the blame virus. Okay, so perhaps this one is the greatest virus to plague man's mind. There is a certain intrinsic comfort that we all derive when we can apportion the blame on someone else or something else. Fate, ancestors, politicians, fake pastors, whatever it is, bad parents, whatever it is, we just feel really good about it, right? Whenever my niece, who's now a wonderfully married woman with a beautiful little baby, when she would break stuff in the house back in the day, she exhibits the most potent form of blame virus. How? When you query the accident, she will say that it was because of the fork that was not in place properly, or the broom that was in the way, or the door that swung too fast. You get the idea, right? It's never her fault, but that of something that was in the way. Same goes with my son, my daughter. At this small age, they have no capacity to have proper emotional understanding, so they always blame the object, not themselves. Well, it's not even blaming, but yeah, they do that. So ring any bells? Most adults have adopted this seemingly innocent childhood habit of blaming someone else for their failures. Whenever things go wrong in their lives, it's either their parents, their siblings, whites, blacks, Latinos, Chinese, the rich, the evil imperialists, the politicians, and even God. The list goes on. Symptoms include, but are not limited to, the following things. These are the signs of the blame virus. Number one, blaming others for their failures and shortcomings. It's never their fault. Two, They are envious towards the progress of others. 3, they are usually prone to bitterness and spite. So they actually take this same thing and then manifest it into a terrible, terrible attitude of always pulling down everything. Even when people praise, they'll come with a snickering, mean, demeaning, counter comment. Number 4, close-minded. Number 5, they hate change of any sort. So if it wasn't for, is the mantra of these that suffer from the blame virus. They also love making excuses as a means to justify and therefore exempt them from responsibility. So what is the antivirus to the blame virus? Okay, number 1, the only way you can overcome, or one can overcome this virus, is to simply learn to accept responsibility. The word responsibility is made of 2 smaller words, response and ability. Thus, can also be interpreted response to ability. All successful people learn very quickly to take responsibility for things that happen, whether positive or negative. They learn to ask the right questions and then learn from that event. In fact, in neuro leadership, we have a statement, and I quote, "It's your fault." That's the quote. It's your fault. When you're a leader, whatever you see happening around in your life is your fault. Now, if you are what I call you're infected with the blame virus, you always deny that statement. It's not my fault. This is not my fault. But when you're a leader who understands the power of responsibility and leadership and oversight, it is your fault. So if your company is performing well, if your life around you is going in the right direction, it is your fault. If things are falling apart all over your life, it is your fault. Because the power to change stuff in your life is not outside of you, but within you. I wish many people could really internalize that, and that's why I'm kind of emphasizing it here. The power to change things in your life is not outside of you, but within you. Changing of governments, changing of churches, changing of environment. These things are not going to be as impactful as changing what's inside of you. That's why you can go all over, change your environment. If what's inside is messed up, you will still manifest it. That's why that's why it's in spiritual laws, it's called the law of correspondence. You will always get the external to correspond with what's going on internally. Now we continue. So if things went wrong, the virus-ridden would ask, why is this happening to me? Why does this always happen to me? Whereas those with the antivirus who know better would instead ask questions like, what factors led to this result? What can I learn from this? And what can I do in future to avoid a repeat of this? So we always say this, the poor, how does it go, that saying? I'm trying to think of the saying. It's a very powerful saying. It says this, to the rich, there are no bad experiences, but learning experiences. In short, rich-minded folk have learned the key to progress is learning. So when things go wrong, there's a lesson. When things go well, that's a proof of a result. Success doesn't teach, failure does. So they have learned that when I have something go wrong, I can learn from this. So in short, one needs to develop a positive attitude that sees the good in everything in spite of prevailing circumstances. The antidote lies in taking responsibility and learning from life with a positive mindset. Let's go to the second virus, the eat now and pay later virus. Now, this is what mentality, this is that mentality that says, let me get all I can from out of this now. It's a selfish spirit. So this selfish spirit wants to gain without giving, eat without paying, and believes that there is such a thing as free lunch. I do not know how many times I've ridiculed the idea of free stuff. There's never free stuff. Someone's paying for it. Okay, it is this virus that has led to the crushing debt crisis being experienced by many, including our country. It is this same virus that has sabotaged many people's opportunities because they opted to gratify their desires rather than build and work first. They want to, let me repeat these lines. They want to gain without giving. They want to eat without paying, and they believe in free lunch. Doesn't exist. Okay? This virus is wreaking havoc in epidemic proportions. Many are this very minute, plagued by it. Probability states that about 85% of people that are listening to me right now are already suffering from this symptom of the virus. Okay, symptoms include, but are not limited to the following. Here are the 5. 1, the expenses are far higher than income. They live on credit. They always live on credit. They're always borrowing way beyond what they can manage. 2, most debt is of the consumer nature, or of the consuming type. Okay, it's not business based, but consumption based. So in other words, they borrow to eat. They don't borrow to produce. Number 3, they would rather laze around than work and create excuses to justify the lazing around. The Bible says the poor man says there's a lion outside. So that's why they're not going to work, because there's a lion outside. And the lion can be anything. It can be anything. The economy is bad. There's no power, energy crisis. You know, you can come up with any excuse, really, to be honest. Okay. And then number 4, they have an will only work when they start paying me more attitude. Let me just say that again. They have an I will only work when they start paying me more attitude. So they're always waiting to be paid more, and they don't realize that that very attitude is why they will never progress, because they're never giving of themselves. The Bible is, there's a reason the Bible says, give and it shall come back to you. Press down, good measure, press down. Give. The first key to any release is giving first. Give into your career, give into your business, give into your endeavors, give into your whatever. Whatever arena you're in life, it starts with you first giving out what's inside of you. As you give that systematically and strategically, people start to see and experience the value you bring, and then it won't take long. Well, it might, but the point is, if you do not give up, if you persevere, there will come a point where that which you've given now starts to bring in the dividends. So, are you exhibiting any of what I've just said? If so, are you already infected and need to seek and consume the remedy I am now telling you? So what's the antivirus? Well, here we go. The only solution to this virus lies in learning to give first, like I say. This principle is taught powerfully in the Bible by the scripture I just quoted. Okay? This means that whenever you want to see results and growth, you must first give your best. Give your best first. Okay? Give of everything you have within you and see that through to the sweet or bitter end. Never give up or wait for someone else. Instead, do what you can with what you have in the best way possible, using the resources available. Okay? Right. This is true whichever arena of life one examines. Whether be it family, only by investing love in the form of time, temperance, and a give and take attitude, or career, give your best performance first, or health by exercising regularly and eating right, or finances by investing and producing value consistently and getting that value to the largest possible, number of people. When you first give, you will see that things only work out that way. So give your best first. Give first and then watch the harvest come back in due course. Give first. And Sylvia rightly says the chicken and egg situation. But the truth is, it starts with us, the chicken, because the egg comes after the chicken. So the key is, what are we going to give? Like, in the truest sense of it, what are we going to give? Are we going to give paltry, lame stuff? Or are we going to give our best? I can tell you consistently, our best is the key. Last but not least, the hope to get lucky virus. Okay, this can be defined as people who believe that in order to succeed, you need to be lucky. Those that suffer from this virus will exhibit typical seeking after lady luck mentality and behavior. Symptoms include, but are not limited to, the following. 1, thinking that success has to do with being lucky. Absolute rubbish. It doesn't have anything to do with luck. It has to do with probability. I'll explain that. 2, participating in lotteries, draws, and betting and gambling. Absolute rubbish. And I am not going to tire telling people how useless gambling and betting is. You think those betting companies are there to make you rich? Like, that's the dumbest thinking I know, because they are never there. They are there to do business, and it's a lucrative business because probability dictates that 1 out of, I don't know, 2,000, 10,000 people are who are going to be lucky enough to get something. And because they hook you on the high of winning, they know you bring all the money back. They know this. So if you're one of those that participates in betting, please stop. Please stop. Don't be foolishly deceived. The number of people today that are suffering from bad debt and the debt crisis and financial crisis today, that is as a result of debt, is betting, is insane. And these days they've brought this whole betting thing on your phone. So the level of the how can I put it, the ability to become addicted is so insanely bad. So beware of that. Number 3, attributing their failure to bad luck or a curse. That's back to the blame thing again. Number 4, always hoping and praying for a lucky break. Listen, the rich create their own luck, I assure you. And probability, a branch of mathematics, tells me or teaches me something called the law of averages. What does the law of averages say, my brothers and sisters? It says, and I'll quote this, let me quote it. What does it say? If you keep doing the right thing often enough, you're bound to succeed. I'll say that again. If you keep doing the right thing often enough, you're bound to succeed. In other words, keep at it. Keep doing the right thing. It will not take long before, boom, you have your breakthrough. It's literally just a matter of chance. It's like rolling the dice. It doesn't matter how long you roll that dice, you will get a 6. So if 6 is your aim, probability tells me 1 in 6 rolls, you're bound to get a 6. But imagine, if you get to number 6 of rolling the die and you don't get a 6, what does probability teach me? It teaches me that with every subsequent attempt, the chances of getting a 6 become higher and higher, unless there's something wrong with the die. But if the die is well, probability tells me as I keep going, number 7, number 8, number 9, somewhere, number 10, the more I keep trying, the more likely, almost guaranteed, that a 6 is going to show up next. And that's the principle behind going out there and doing it. Okay, so let me continue anyway. So unfortunately, most people infected with this virus do not realize that we are all governed and subject to a law of money known as the law of correspondence, which states, I've said it already, but I'll say it again. It says this: your outer world will always correspond with your inner world. That's the law of correspondence. This means that if you are rich on the inside by exhibiting 3 key factors for wealth creating, these being time, effort, skill, and value, your outside will inevitably match the inside in due course, regardless of the current circumstances like debt and bankruptcy you may be suffering from. It's also true of the opposite situation, in that if you are poor on the inside by not exhibiting the factors for wealth creation, in other words, you're not prone to investing time, your effort and skill and value in the arena of your career and finances are bad, your outside will inevitably and eventually match the inside, regardless of your temporary state of apparent success. This is why even if somebody went into power, became a powerful minister, started gaining all that money, they will lose it in due course because the inside is still poor. And watch and see, right now, as we speak, there's a bunch of people who are losing their wealth. You know why? Because wealth cannot stay where there's poverty. Poverty on the inside will always manifest. It doesn't matter how long it takes. The truth will soon come out. The equilibrium will take place. The wealth on the inside will always manifest regardless. If you take a rich man, throw him in the middle of nowhere, he will soon manifest the wealth. A poor man, take him from the poverty-stricken, pigsties or wherever, put him in the palaces. It won't take long. After he's done with the palace, everything will go and he will get right back to the pigsty. So this is why even people who win the lottery end up in the same situation. Regardless that, the majority of these people soon end up broke and poor. Why? Because the inside is poor. This law is true and cannot be broken. Okay? The only way around it is the only way around it is to obey it by fulfilling the terms of it through increasing your wealth on the inside. This is the only way you can break this. So the antivirus of this last one, hope to get lucky. This is a stubborn virus as it sticks to the inner workings of the mind like bubblegum to hair. Removing this virus means working at totally reprogramming or reframing the mind and how one thinks. The mind has been likened to a parachute. It works best when it's opened, okay? And that happens when one is willing to accept and embrace humility. This means having a teachable spirit and esteeming others above oneself. It is from this spirit that is born the true spirit of entrepreneurialism. Okay, it is when one chooses to be of service to others, does that with the best intentions at heart, that success manifests. It is this spirit that leads to one. It is this spirit that leads one to giving without ceasing, giving their best, and doing all things to the best of their ability. Have you noticed that? It is this spirit that causes one to work as unto God, not man, giving their most faithful and heartfelt service with intent to genuinely see others succeed. No selfishness. That's what it is. When you develop this attitude and mindset, you are going to alter your results. You will see genuine success, and then you will have done what all rich-minded people do: create their own luck. Have you seen that? The antidote for this virus lies in service. I've always said that to my cohort. The greatest purpose for coming on this earth for every one of us is service. It lies in believing in what you do. It lies in having a passion for what your mission is in this world, and then relentlessly pursuing that mission with a die-hard attitude that never quits in the face of adversity. Are you plagued by any of the three viruses I mentioned? Have you made an effort to change your destiny by giving an antivirus for them? If not, what are you going to do about them? I once suffered under the ravages of these viruses. I always blamed others. I refused to take responsibility for my actions and decisions. I was debt-ridden and hoped to get lucky one day and strike gold, thereby getting rid of all my problems literally overnight. As a charismatic Christian, I believed in the solution of prayer and fasting. I did plenty of that. But as you can imagine, the situation got worse. It was not until the Lord showed me literally where the problem was, and then I took massive action that led me on the way to where I am now and where I am progressing to. Okay? And I'll tell you this, my friends, as we close. If you are serious about changing your life, you've prayed enough. This message I'm telling you now, this is God's answer to you. You need to find a way to break free. Now, truth be told, it's not as easy as it sounds. And that's why God, in his wisdom, placed teachers. One of my favorite passages in the Bible is Isaiah 30:19, which says, and I'll quote it, but I won't quote it correctly, so I'll paraphrase. It says, what does it say? It says, though I have given you the bread of affliction and the water of adversity, I will do that no longer. Okay? But I will now bring you to a place where everything that wasn't shall be manifest. Your teachers shall be hidden no more. They will be right before you. And as you come to a place of rest, you hear a voice behind you say, this is the way, walk in it. Now, I know I've butchered that passage. It doesn't say it that way. But the point is, that's what the Bible insinuates. That there comes a time when God will send you teachers. God will send you guides. And you need to realize that that's the key. Once you get your guide, follow the guide. I'm here as a guide. Dr. Sunshine is here as a guide. Dr. Nelly is here as a guide. We have been guiding people for these last couple of years, 4 years and counting. Yeah, that's up there. 4 years and counting. And we are so proud of what we've been able to achieve. I'm very proud of what I'm doing with people. The difference is, I'll speak for myself. My work is to empower, not enslave. And to be empowered, you need to get a true understanding of where you are and where you need to be. So if these words are touching you in any way, you want to be part of our cohort. I will be posting the link to our session where you can register and join our cohort. We're already at session 1. We're running with 16 more sessions, 1 every week, and they are available as we speak. If you come in late, you can get your registration, so you can get the recording and follow through. Thank you so much for that. Peter says, hey Peter, he says they will castigate and speak all manner of things when you finally come to terms with the reality of wealth creation. Unfortunately, Peter, it's very unfortunate that the programming is very powerful for a lot of people who are in that setup. But you know what? That's why we're here, to make the difference. Those who are willing to, you jump on board and let's make this happen. So on that note, have a great day. Remember to share this video with as many people as possible. Let them be able to watch this and follow. Take care and have a great day. God bless.